Hi, I'm LP and cameraman Army guy. Say hi.
Hello.
And we're doing a historical tour of Muskegon, Michigan, looking at all the main historical pieces. We're not going to any of the museums, like some places will be museums because they were turned into them, but that's good. For now, we're going to start off with the maritime history and then work our way towards the downtown area. So we're currently on Pure Marquette Beach, and right in the Muskegon Channel, due to the fact that one of our first stops is this, the USS Silverside. It's a World War II era submarine that was built in the 1940s. I don't
Gato
remember.
class. She was built the month after the attack on Pearl Harbor. One of the top three most successful surviving Gato class submarines from World War II.
It essentially continued its service until it was decommissioned and passed around a while until it was eventually donated to the school that could be used in the same thing, which is why it's here to this day.
Their periscopes raised.
A fun little fact is that the submarine is actually able to be rented to be used for filming. So you can tow it out into the lake and film it moving. And that's what happened for 2003 movie Below, where they needed exterior shots for the USS Tiger Shark, which is a fictional submarine. So they essentially rented the submarine, towed it out into Lake Michigan, and filmed it for the exterior shots, which is a neat little fact. So this is the movie star right here.
Yeah.
She has a bit of some wear and tear on her, but they're currently sitting up to dry dockers for the day.
Yeah.
So they get all the rust off.
Yeah. We can't go on board right now because we haven't bought tickets, but we can get exterior shots. Yeah. But right here.
Oh.
Yeah, buy tickets to get on board. Also, notice right here, Liam. You see all those vents right there? Those little pieces that go up and in? Those are the exports for the diesel engines.
Those oval thingies?
Yeah, those are the diesel engines exhaust.
It looks very. One thing I noticed is that they're very similarly built to a whaleback.
Yeah.
I actually, I stayed the night on this thing once.
Yeah?
Before the original guy died. So I actually slept on board the thing. They have like triple bunk beds.
Yeah.
Like triple decker bunk beds.
And right there used to be the deck where the United States Coast Guard cutter McLean used to be at.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate story.
Have any footage, but we technically do. It's just one is
Yeah.
on very mysterious surfaces.
Yeah.
We don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's essentially it was deemed scrap metal.
Yeah, it was deemed unsafe for visitors, and the association didn't feel like they had the reason to keep her restored.
They still kept their anchor chain though.
Still have the McLean's anchor chain. I can tell you a short little thing about the Coast Guard cutter McLean. She was a Coast Guard cutter launched in, I do believe it was 1928. And World War II, 1927? 1927, and she became a submarine chaser in World War II. In World War II, she actually sank, I think it was a Japanese midget submarine off the United States coast. I'd have to bring up more details on that one. And then she served for a while. I think she served during the Korean War, I think. And then she was decommissioned. And she was one of two remaining submarine chasers of her age. Until recently, of last year, she was taken and sold for scrap. The submarine museum said that they recovered as many artifacts as they could from the McLean, which I did notice. And the USS Silverside's here. Actually, recently, as of a couple of months ago, she actually had a special company come out and pump out her fuel tanks from all the old seawater and the lake water and the old diesel and the rust that got into her tank. So now she's sitting several feet higher in the water. You can actually see two torpedo doors on the stern, but she had 4 on the stern and 6 on the bow. Yeah, that's a special diving bell. They deployed those to try to rescue submarine crew members in submarines that sank. None of them would have. They typically the Coast Guard had them. Basically, they're designed to be lowered from a ship down into the water, and down there was a seal that could suck onto the escape hatches on the deck of a submarine, and it could be suctioned down. So a crew from the inside of the submarine here the hatch could be sealed up, and the submarine hatch could be opened, which drop down the escape hatch, and then the hatch on the inside of the diving bell could be opened up. So the crew could be rescued. You can pause the video here, read some of that information there. And here is a Hedgehog anti-submarine weapon, originally developed by the Royal Navy. This one I do believe is the United States Navy type. The Hedgehog was designed to be an efficient submarine warfare device. It was designed to fire all of these in a circular pattern, and it was designed so you could still maintain sonar contact with the submarine that you were attempting to destroy. Ironically enough, they used these during the operation to capture U-505. Well, I might make another video on that later. And then coming around here, that deck gun right there, the Silversides had an incident in 1944, it might have been 45, near Japan. She was pursuing a Japanese armed fishing trawler. She was armed with 2 machine guns because at that time all Japanese vessels were given the opportunity to fight for the Empire of Japan. And here, this deck gun specifically, they didn't want to use expensive torpedoes, so they manned the deck gun because it was just a small wooden fishing trawler. They're passing rounds in a bucket line from the ammo storage bins, 2 of them on the back of the conning tower there, to that deck gun. And one of the sailors, was shot and killed by the machine gun. There's a video of that online. I might put a link for that in. And yeah, yeah, some torpedoes, Mark 14, Mark 15 torpedoes, and the anti-aircraft gun from the Coast Guard cutter McLean right there. 20mm Boffer. And that one's a 4-inch deck gun, I do believe. From potentially the Silversides, yeah.
Yeah, it has the same color.
Yeah. Anyways, this up, we have to go to our next recording spot, being the SS Milwaukee Clipper, where I'll have my friend here, LP Industries, take over for me. At right about...
So, here we are at the Grand Trunk Ferry Dock, and you can see fence, but if you look very far over there, you can see what appears to be a slope right there. That is the SS Milwaukee Clipper. Built originally back in 1904 and put in service in 1905 under the Pennsylvania Railroad as the SS Juniata. Originally, she was designed specifically to transfer cargo and passengers from Buffalo, New York to Duluth, Minnesota, stopping at places such as Cleveland, Detroit, Mackinac Island, Marquette, all the way up to Duluth. She had a sister ship that's a bit older than her, called the Tionesta, and in 1910 she had her younger sister ship, the Octorara. Then, 1912 happens with the Panama Canal Act, Section 11, in which case it said that no railroad companies can ever own and operate ships. So most companies had to sell off the ships, right? Mm-hmm. Well, essentially, these guys got bought off by another company and just kept in service.
Yeah.
Just different owners, that's it.
Until like 1937, I think it was.
1930s, where the Great Depression started drowning out sales.
Yeah.
Like, not that many passengers had tickets because of expenses. And then the Morro Castle disaster happened. Pretty much off the New Jersey coast, an ocean liner got burnt down by an arsonist and killed a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it did so was because the superstructure, which is the building part of the ship, where the funnels are attached to, all that stuff.
And everything on the inside was ornate
wood. To give you
wood.
an idea, you look at the Titanic, the white part of the ship, that is the superstructure. Juniata and her sisters had ones that were made of wood, meaning they were flammable. So as a result, they had to essentially discontinue their use until the McKee brothers, Max and Mark McKee, bought essentially the Juniata and the Octorara specifically to use them as passenger ships. We'll talk about in a second. And so they redesigned them to be the SS Milwaukee Clipper. Octorara, before her conversion, essentially got completely drafted into World War II, got mothballed in the Suzune Bay Fleet of San Francisco and scrapped in 1952.
Yeah, she's
But the
good.
Milwaukee Clipper moved on. Essentially continued her service going from Muskegon, Michigan to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, sometimes going from Chicago to Milwaukee. Or sometimes she did like a sort of like a train thing, where she did some on weekends, some on weekdays. Right here, there's the Lake Express Ferry, which came into service in the early 2000s. I don't remember the exact date, but she runs the original route that the Milwaukee Clipper did, going from Muskegon, Michigan to Milwaukee, Wisconsin and back, pretty much. And so, it's not that really, that's pretty much like that, not much to say. It was all some couple facts. She had an incident in 1960, I believe, where she crashed into the Milwaukee Breakwater, where the Milwaukee Breakwall dented her bow end, caused a lot of money for repair. Then there was a couple of other times where she had incidents such as the overboard, the entire season where she went where people kept falling overboard. Earlier this season, a girl jumped over. Guy got a boat down, rescued her, brought back, and it was revealed that she didn't fall over, she jumped, which is kind of sad. And then later that same season, they had an incident in which the owner's dog leaped overboard. Same guy went down with the same boat, grabbed the dog, got back, and they made a little joke that the girl earlier in the season was practice round for saving the boss's dog. Kind of morbid. I like it. It's fine. And then 1970 rolls around, in which case the McKee brothers were trying to replace the Milwaukee Clipper with a newer ship that they bought and renovated called the Aquarama. It was a C4 freighter called the Marine Star that they renovated and modified, and they wanted to replace her route with that new ship, but Milwaukee wouldn't dredge the harbor because of how big she was. And so as a result, they just pulled the Milwaukee Clipper from service and just called it a day. It's no longer. And a fun little fact is that the designer of the Milwaukee Clipper, the redesigner, not the original designer, was George Sharp, whose other creations, most notably, is the very first ever nuclear-powered merchant vessel.
NS Savannah.
Yeah, currently in Baltimore, Maryland. And styled more so like the 1960s style due to her, being around that time period. So, it's a really nice ship. It's my favorite one. And we're going to be visiting something that's related to both the submarine and the Milwaukee Clipper down at the Mart Dock in the downtown area.
Hi, I'm Army Guy Productions. My cameraman behind me is LP Industries. We're standing in front of the LS 2393 at the D-Day Muskegon event. LS 2393 as a landing ship tank. She served 3 major landings in Sicily, Italy, and Normandy, France. The LS-2393 here is one of 2 remaining LST ships in their military configuration. 3 of them still remain, one of them is a car ferry. The LS-2393 here has an extensive history of usage. She ties in with McKee brothers in the Milwaukee Clipper, which was covered earlier in this video. And this ship, the reason that I'm saying that she is connected is because after World War II, after she did her tours, she was bought up by them and used as the Highway 16 alongside the Milwaukee Clipper from the Milwaukee route to Muskegon. The Highway 16 served for quite a while. I'm not quite sure when she retired. And after she retired, she got sold eventually. People that bought her recognized her as an LST class ship. So they restored her somewhat. They're still working on restoring her. And the LS-2393 here was actually painted in a camel color for a period of time, which was actually one of the camels that she had. I think it was just after the D-Day invasions. Might have been before the D-Day invasions. And the ship here, and her current paint job, she's actually painted up by veterans that got the opportunity to paint and do all that for a fundraiser. And now as we come after, you can see there's dozens of reenactors and youth cadets on board. I went on board earlier, and this is probably my 20th video I've recorded. As we're coming aft, you can see more reenactors. So, those ones are and coming after that gun right there, which is a 3-inch. That gun actually used to be up there. And back here, she has a dual propeller, dual rudder system. She's powered by two diesel 2-stroke engines, both of them 12 cylinders. And she has 3 forms of steerage. She has the pilot house steerage, the emergency tiller steerage, and she has the emergency steering compartment, which also has its own separate helm. As you can see, the LSP-393 is actually floating at some extent, as she's actually moving side to side. We're just going to take a quick look at the flags that are flying. And to conclude this video, we have the Slight Camp out here, and a SD-Camp C254 half track is being towed out on a trailer. She released a day or two before making this video, maybe same day. I'm Army Guy Productions, and thank you for watching. Have a good day.